I want you to get together.
You mentioned something in your own sort of flow of conversation there.
Go.
You mentioned beauty standards, and that kind of stuck out to me and it reminded me of a question that I wanted to ask and I had forgotten.
Mhm.
And so, Queen Elizabeth, not not two, but Queen Elizabeth one. I wanted to pull up some of these images
Yeah.
of Queen Elizabeth. So that idea and the concept of the beauty standard at that time was the painted white face,
Mhm.
right? And that's where we get some of those modern concepts of whiteness and what that means. That actually goes all the way back to these concepts, right?
Mhm.
But we also know that Queen Elizabeth, she wore wigs, so this was on purpose. This look, the white painted flat white face and the red hair, is this also maybe keying back into some of these things and trying to make them more of a beautiful thing, a desirable thing, more than a scary thing?
Yeah, I believe so. I
You
believe
see that?
I believe
You see
both.
that serpent on her arm?
Yeah, it's a dragon, I think, isn't it, from the looks of it? Yeah, the thing is that most of the royal families all throughout the earth believe themselves to be the descendants of the Nephilim. They do. That's just not
Yeah.
even like a. It's not even a secret. It's very well known. They consider themselves to be of the house of the dragon. They are of this royal divine right to rule. We have angel blood inside of us type people. You know, that's why they believe they have that divine right. So when they try to emulate or live up to the standards of the demons, they're probably well in communication with and they know what they look like. What she used to wear was a thing called Venetian ceruse, which came from Venice. It was actually a heavily lead based paint that was killing her. I think it likely did kill her. That's probably what it came down to at the end from severe lead poisoning. It took a long time for that to change to a more emollient based, oil based one rather than lead based to get away from that grease paint effect. A lot of early clowns actually suffered from the same problem. In France specifically as well, and in Italy, but they realized it was the face paint killing them eventually, and they switched to something a bit more healthy. But it goes to show, mess around and find out, isn't it? You play with demons, you get burnt type of thing. But I do think it's not just the face paint and the red hair, which is a clear emulation of Nephilim features. It's the clothing they wear, the frills around the neck, for example, that Victorian frill, which is shown to be a symbol of high standards and aristocracy. It's actually a reptilian frill. It's a distinctly reptilian feature. You see there with the puffy red polka dot, white, red, and polka dot arms, and that one at the top corner. It's polka dots are quite a clownish thing as well, but it's a reptilian skin feature. There's always a reference to the psychedelic nature of reptiles.
It does look
Yeah,
a little It the Clownish, It the Clown.
yeah.
Did you see the new It series, the new It movies?
I think I saw the first one. I didn't see the revelation with they're older. I haven't seen that second one.
Okay.
I saw the original. I did see the originals though. The TV series from the early days, of the '90s, and I actually read the book as a kid as well. So
Well, I don't know if the book or the TV series, things like that, mentioned it, but the second movie, it took a direction where I was like, has anyone else like? I mean, except for probably be us in the conspiracy world, like, are you guys seeing this? What they did was they explained the origins of it and who he was,
hmm.
and they described him as a fallen star, and they described him as someone who was, of this ancient god, seen as gods, and it survives on human sacrifice, and it gets a little bit into the kind of a stuff where it's like, I gotta swallow this child while he's scared, and that's why he terrifies them first before he eats them. And if people don't know what that is, I mean, I didn't really want to touch it. I didn't want to get, like, I don't know, flagged or canceled, especially. I was just like, whatever. So a lot of people are talking about, but it just surprised me because it was very overt. Like we mentioned on the show a lot, that movies are no longer occult; they're just overt, and they just tell you
Mm-hmm.
what it is. I think Enoch mentioned it earlier. There's more evil. The veil is thinning between the darkness, and you can just see these things really coming up.
Yeah, let's go ahead and read that comment real quick, just so that everyone listening can get it. Enoch says, "Are we seeing the zebra pattern, the clownish pattern on these?" He's probably referencing something that we talked about at that point. What appears to be human hosts or Nephilim hosts manifest in the darkness increasing on the earth? Is the veil thinning? Sort of a question. So are these becoming more prevalent? Are the patterns, some of these connections, maybe that red hair, maybe the white, but that stripish kind of pattern, which is all over all the clown stuff, even clown fish. That's why it's identified that way. Is that because maybe there's something coming?
Well, if we want to talk about that, we'll talk about to to summarize the end of my journey. You know, I had all these visions and had these things. Then the 2016 clown sightings happened around the end of this period for me.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and that's what that was my first clue that something was going on here to do with clowns and the Nephilim. So I already knew by this point. I was well versed in the occult symbolism and the knowledge that of the secret societies and how they are orchestrated and operated in the world. And it was clear to me, first of all, the media was hyping up this event to no end. They were putting it everywhere. Every small news station and even national news stations across countries, across continents were talking about this happening in their area. And I thought to myself, the media would not show this unless they wanted us to see it. They don't show anything by accident on the mainstream controlled news outlets. They do not, okay? It's all orchestrated. The clown must I thought to myself, the clown must be a symbol to the initiated. It must mean something to them for them to make such a big deal out of this. Something so trivial and stupid and silly. They're putting a spotlight on it on purpose. You know, that was my first thought process, and I'd already had enough knowledge from all this previous connecting and thought processes about seraphim angels mixing with women. What would that have looked like? Seeing jesters in the DMT realm, and things just kind of clicked into place for me. And I thought to myself, clowns have something to do with demons and Nephilim. They're linked explicitly, and they're showing them on the news right now as like a message of some kind. They're trying to say something. Maybe the Nephilim are returning or something like that. Is what I thought. It's like a message for the initiated to see. Oh, we've thinned the veil enough for the manifestations of the Nephilim to begin coming back into our world, and now they're on street corners and scaring people, and people are sighting clowns everywhere. What they're actually talking about is prepare for the future. We may start seeing more manifestations of the Nephilim coming back to our realm, as it was in the days of Noah type of stuff. So shall it be in the coming of the Son of Man? We're kind of in that realm now where the Nephilim are going to return. They're coming back from the other side of the veil where they currently are as disembodied spirits. We're going to start opening up channels and portals for them to get back here, and we're going to start seeing them positioning themselves back into places of power like they once were, just before the flood, as it was in the days of Noah. So I kind of made all these links together, and that's what set me off. That's what started the series, and that's where all the connections just started flowing. And I realized, actually, this is very serious. Like, the clown actually is a purposefully created symbol to represent the Nephilim, and is also used as a costume by secret societies to channel demons without the public noticing that that's what it's actually for. It's an occult symbol. We're not supposed to know that's what it's used for. We're supposed to just think it's something fun and innocent for the children. But they know, the Shriners, who all dress like clowns and have their own clown sects and are part of Freemasonry and the ancient continuation of the serpent worship cults from the antediluvian age, they know what it's for. They know the practices all these ancestor spirit cultures around the world use the costume for. You wear the thing to be possessed by the thing, to channel the thing, and the clown is just their Western created version of the same thing done in all these other cultures around the world that have been doing it openly for centuries.
Yeah.
Is it sort of like, you see it on Discovery Channel where the birds that are trying to attract a mate, they fluff up their feathers and they do a dance to try to attract
Yeah.
that same thing. It almost feels like that. It almost feels like they're going to dress up, they're going to do these things, they're going to do these rituals to try to draw in and to attract. Uh,
Well, you mentioned earlier about it and the whole, charging the blood with that particular chemical in order to get that energy from them, through fear. That's what it does. It causes fear in its victims first to fill the blood with, so then they can eat the child and gain the powers in the blood. Well,
Yeah.
Shriners dress like clowns and go to children's hospitals where children are in their last dying moments of life. A clown either creates extreme laughter or extreme fear in whoever it comes towards. There's one or two options. I don't know anybody who's indifferent to clowns when they see one. You know what I mean? Either likely you're going to be scared. More uncommon, you might actually think one's actually quite funny. That's rare. Studies have been done. Children are actually mortified by clowns. It's like 1 in maybe 200 that actually likes clowns. They're the outlier. They're not the norm. Okay, they don't count. They do not represent children. Okay, that one child who thinks clowns are funny. The majority of children are terrified of them, and studies have been done, and it's proven. Yeah, we don't know why we associate clowns with children. Children don't like them whatsoever. But if you
There
imagine,
has to be
well, if you think
some.
about it, yeah, if these secret societies are dressing like clowns and going to dying children for the purpose of eliciting some kind of energy from them, a fear from
Right,
them, well,
right.
if they are channeling a demon in that moment, then the demon within that person is feeding off that fear who's channeling them. And if you are a secret society member who works with these demons, then why wouldn't you dress like one so it can come in your vessel, go and scare the hell out of a child so the demon within you can feed off it? You're kind of helping them in a way, and these giant, these hospitals are like loosh farms for demons, basically, where these clowns go in and terrify them. And I think it's something instinctual why we're scared of clowns, why this fear even exists, called coulrophobia. It's because there's something built into us as humanity. It's a predator response. These things used to eat us. These things were roaming around, eating human beings and subjugating us, throwing us in the air at a moment's notice. We were in fear of them. We had no power. They were our predators. They were true predators, of humanity. And you don't collectively, instinctually in your DNA forget something like that. And I think humanity is naturally repulsed by the clown for this very reason, because it represents something we remember, you know.
And
Yeah.
when was the last time in some pop culture thing that the clown was a hero or the clown was a good guy? Clown is always a bad guy. They try to make it ironic. Oh, it's ironic that this child thing, this children's sort of image is the bad guy. They try to make it ironic, but it doesn't seem ironic if the first thing isn't true. Is there actually any kind of pulp culture sort of thing that where they're the good guy? I mean, even Ronald McDonald, like he's beckoning you to go eat gross food, if you could call it food. Like there's no like good representation of a clown.
Not
Uh,
not anymore,
and
no. Sorry,
there's yeah, very few.
I'm saying John Wayne Gacy kind of ruined that for everybody, for all future clowns. He did. He did. He actually did, though, and that was it. From that moment, it was solidified that clowns are actually something with a negative connotation. Prior to that, you had Bozo the Clown in his show, which was kind of like Krusty the Clown was a rip off of that in The Simpsons. It was a comedy version,
Right.
But and even then, circuses was still a relatively fun thing for the family in the 60s and 50s and 40s. But you find rolling into the 80s, you had the modern. I mean, we talk about the 2016 clown sightings. Well, in 1981, Boston had their own issue going on with clown sightings that actually started to spread all across America at the same time period as well. And people dressed like clowns were driving around in vans trying to kidnap children and lure them into their vans. And families were reporting this en masse in 1981 all across the country, and it
No.
became the phantom clown sightings. That's what they became known as during that period of time, because they couldn't find them. No one could find them, and people were like, "Oh, you're just making it up." But it was like mass hysteria everywhere. Everyone was talking about, "I've seen these clowns. They're waiting outside of our schools in vans. Like, you have to get them." And then when the police get there, they're gone and they can't find any trace. And it's kind of like, what's going on here? So it's not the first time. And then everyone said, "Oh, well, in hindsight, everyone's been saying it was just some kind of stunt, because it had just come out and everyone was all about, it at that time." But the thing is, the book, wasn't released until 4 years later. So it has nothing to do with the book It.
It always seems like there's got to be some sort of clown, like the clown of the hour, the clown of the time, the clown of the moment that's sort of in there. So it's either Joker or it's, like I was saying, Ronald McDonald for a while is sort of this prevalent figure. And
Yeah.
you even get creepy there with the whole Ronald McDonald House sort of thing for children who are suffering, which honestly, that organization does some great things. Like I've, personal experience. They do some great things, but that showcase where it's that one up front, it always seems like there is a pop culture or front of mind sort of clown image that's always around. I think the Joker has been that for years and years and years, and it just keeps coming back every decade. There's a new Joker, there's a new something, whether it's an animated or live action.
My recent episode of the Nephilim Look Like Clowns was just about this. It's about the past, I could go on forever, so I just capped it the last 10 years. Let's just look at the last decade alone, 2014 to now, okay? And you'll find this past 10 years has been prolific with clown information and films and media. It's everywhere right now. It's actually quite mind-boggling just how much they're pushing the clown on us just in the past 10 years alone. It's creepy. It's strange. I mean, 2014 they released a film called Clown, which is literally about somebody who puts on the costume of a clown and is therefore possessed by a demon of a reptile monster called a cloyne. Okay, it's literally my entire theory in this old film from 2014 that I knew nothing about until literally a few years ago, like not that even that long ago, actually. At the start of this year, it's the first time I heard about this, and it's kind of they've been telling us for a long time. You know, they've been telling us for a very long time what the truth of the matter is, and I've kind of just started to uncover all of it. It's everywhere. Like it is about the same thing, an interdimensional entity that shapeshifts, that has like an insectoid, weird, monstrous, wide mouth, grin form that manifests physically as a clown in order to feed every 27 years. And even the number 20, every 27 years, is a reference to the Saturn's cycles of when Saturn is in your own house and all this type of thing. You know, that's where Club 27 comes into it. You know, and it's all connected to the occult.
You see that in movies for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you start to break apart the characteristics of Nephilim or Nephilim spirits, which are the real demons,
Mhm.
and occult rituals, and then compare all of the things that you've seen clowns express in our media, the connections become kind of endless. Because
Mhm.
I feel personally, when I saw the Dark Knight and I saw the Joker, the representation of what he was, for me, it was like, this is a chaos ritual. This is chaos magic right here. Like he is the representation of chaos, of anarchy, and very cunning. And you break apart this, for example, clowns can be deceptive. This is the plan. Look at me. This is what I'm presenting to you. They're almost magicians as well. They have magic. They're confusing you with something else. Look at this, and then really what's happening is this other thing, right? And so that's what the Joker was doing in the Dark Knight. Like he was always a step ahead of everyone, presenting something that wasn't really it. And then in the Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, it was like completely different, and it was like this acceptance of like, I want to really feel bad for this character and accept the enemy as your friend, like he's just a normal person kind of thing. And he does this whole, and what in my opinion, possession ritual when he dances in front of a mirror and he becomes the Joker. You know, he's doing this thing, and of course it was on a black and white floor, you know, the checkered floor. And so there's all of these symbols within these movies where people are they're becoming this other person, and it's all related around clowns. And then there's like obvious possessions that we don't really think about, and they're related to masks, like clowns, like the Mask and Jim Carrey, the Mask, where he literally gets possessed by this ancient deity, and he's very clownish. He does magic. He does all these different things, and again, you can go, oh, you know, you start thinking back and you see all of these things. You know, clowns are deceptive. They know magic. Jesters, you know, they're comedic, but they're also like, you know, they can do tricks, and it's like this whole thing. I mean, it sounds like a demon to me when you know what they're up to, what they kind of do. All of those characteristics can be embodied in a demon or a Nephilim spirit, these ancient gods, and of course, that is how they got people to worship them and be false deities in the ancient past. So I just, this clown business is definitely something. When I'm thinking, as soon as you mentioned this whole, oh, you remember all the clown stuff, I'm like, God, you just remember the fear that everyone. I was you know, young, a lot younger, and I remember everyone's like, dude, this is crazy. I hate clowns more than ever, and it just became this fear-based thing, very much Monsters Inc. style. You know, everyone's feeding off the fear. These occult businesses, occult people in charge are really pushing this fear propaganda. So it's blowing my mind, man.
I want you to get together